you're talking about sort of artistic freedom against sort of analytics, and sort of want to address this to Jessica specifically about music in terms of how in film, which I think is sort of the closest analogue to games, music has very much become sort of in the service of film. And do you think, it seems to me that a similar thing is happening with games, certainly in the mainstream. And do you find that's a problem? And how do you deal with that in terms of keeping artistic freedom?
That's a really good question. Yes, I think music is still completely the slave of the visual medium, and I think that's slowly changing. It's not changing as quickly as I'd like. I think there's the rise of the indie scene music superstars. I think Fez, Disaster Piece, and those kind of people are bringing it up, but I still think we have a long way to go. And I think we so take from the filmic model of if a scene needs to have, someone's dying and then you need some sad music, and it's always the slave. And what was interesting for me with Dear Esther as a composer was the music actually came before the game. The games industry hasn't really been, up until this point, a very interesting place for experimental composers to work in because there haven't been those opportunities. But like I was saying earlier, I do think we are approaching something quite different. I think it's a really exciting time to be a composer in the games industry, and I think it's going to get more and more interesting.
It's everything working together in sync. The interactivity is programming, the art is the great animators, the modelers, and then the music is another piece to tie it together and really make it sync. We often would fall back on, we need this feeling, we're not getting it, the music needs to do X, Y, or Z, which I don't know as a slave, I just feel like that's the job of the music in this context, to create this emotional moment along with all these other pieces. I certainly believe that there's a game that could be driven by music and that people could, a musical piece could unfold interactively. I think that sounds super exciting, so I'm not against it. But in the context of building a cinematic storytelling experience, music plays the role of making moments work in a big way. And in Walking Dead, different music files will play sometimes depending on the choices that you've made. And this ability to make an interactive music piece throughout the game based on your actions, that's certainly an area that could continue to be amped up easily.